Hi gardeners, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm giving you all a full growing guide on how to grow blueberries. So stick around with us. So here I have a Hello Darling blueberry from the Southern Living Plant Collection. And so blueberries here in South Florida kind of do 50-50. They do produce and they do semi well here, but only certain varieties, not all varieties, can do well here in South Florida. So this particular variety can grow in South Florida, so I'm gonna give it a shot here in my garden this year. It has been doing very well for me so far. It's been pushing out new growth in its container, so I would like to see how it will perform in the ground. Now the growing guide may be different in each state because it really depends on the soil type you have. Blueberries like to be planted in more acidic soil, so you want to make sure you alternate your soil by either adding acidity, or if your soil is already acidic, then you really don't have to worry about it, if not just planting it and just maintaining the blueberry plant. In my case, my soil is a bit more acidic, so I'm gonna just be planting it in the ground and just maintaining it. Some gardeners prefer growing them in containers where they're able to kind of manage the acidity they're receiving, the fertilizing, the watering. But in my case, I want to grow it in the ground so it can establish in the ground and kind of grow on its own while I'm giving it a little helping hand while it's developing. So I actually made a video on the pink blueberry, so if you haven't watched that already, make sure you go ahead and watch it. But we're gonna go ahead and do this one today. So we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into planting it into the ground. So I just planted the blueberry, and a few things you should keep in mind when you're planting your blueberry is, one, if you need to add some type of acidifier into your soil, that would be the time to do so before planting it in the ground. So then it could go ahead and have some acidifier mixed into the soil, into the hole, so then you would be set and good to go for that. Number two is you want to make sure you rough up the root system. Any type of fruit tree or food plant that you go ahead and plant in your garden, if it is too root bound, which is where the roots tend to go into a circular motion tighter and tighter due to its time in the container, go ahead and rough up that root system because you don't want your plant choking out later on when it's trying to grow and establish. So make sure you go ahead and rough up that root system. Number three is to make sure that you well water it. So when it comes down to a recently planted fruit plant or fruit tree in your garden, you want to make sure you give it a little good drink of water at least every day, especially here in South Florida. Since it's getting really hot, we haven't hit those rainy seasons just yet, so I need to make sure this bad boy is receiving water at least once every day in the afternoon, unless it starts raining randomly someday. But other than that, you want to make sure you have a well watering schedule with the recently planted plant because you don't want it to dry out on you. So now let's move on to the care and growing guide. So blueberries, once again, prefer to be planted here in South Florida in partial shade. It can't sustain our full sun areas because they will tend to fry and not do the best. So I'd recommend planting it in a partial shaded area or an area that receives dappled sunlight. Coming to number two is their watering schedule. Once a blueberry has grown and established, you want to make sure you water it at least once every week or so, because once we hit the raining seasons here in Florida, it almost rains every day, so we don't have to worry about it. Coming at number three is their fertilizing and feeding. So any type of fruit tree or fruit plant benefits from an extra feed. So I'd recommend everything organic compost, or any earthworm castings or any earthworm casting tea is what is best for any type of fruiting plant. I'd recommend it if you're using earthworm castings to hit it once every month, because since earthworm castings are not so strong, it won't have a huge impact if you do it ever so often. Like if you do it once every 2 to 3 months, it won't have that big of an effect. So if your plant is new and recent, I'd recommend doing it once every month. But once your plant is kind of old and already has some years behind its belt, then I'd recommend fertilizing. Then you can fertilize once every 2 to 3 months. Number four is the maintenance. So in some areas, blueberry bushes tend to get really big. They could get really bushy. So make sure you go through and give it a good haircut before its flowering season, so you don't risk any type of flowers or any fruit being lost. So make sure you give it a good haircut to promote new growth and new flowers. This blueberry in particular blooms in spring, so then I would make sure to go ahead and give it a good haircut back like around the ending of fall, especially here in Florida. Since we don't have a real harsh winter, I could do that. Finally is to have an eye out for any type of fungal disease or pest or diseases. Although in my knowledge, I haven't dealt with any with the blueberries I have grown here in my garden, but never say never. So have a vigilant eye on the plant. If you see something weird like a discoloration or anything like that, research upon it, see what you can do to treat it, and treat it right away, because you don't want that to progress and end up taking over and killing your plant. So it's best to catch it early and treat it early. So let me down in the comment section below what varieties of blueberries you're growing and what is your best thing or your favorite thing about growing them. Make sure to leave a like underneath this video and subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you all so much for watching this video. May God bless you and your entire family, and never forget to grow big, ultimate gardeners. Bye everyone.